In this video, I'm just going to be giving you a super quick rundown of the Orville Season 1, Episode 12, Mad Idolatry. Unfortunately, this is the last episode that we get of the Orville for Season 1. We were supposed to get 13 episodes, but because of scheduling, that did not come to pass. Hopefully we get to see the 13th episode at the start of Season 2. I should just be grateful that there will be a Season 2, because Fox has absolutely canceled one of my favorite sci-fi series after only one season before. This episode, though, was, again, probably one of my favorite episodes. I feel like every episode raises the bar, and I'm definitely going to have to do a top 5 episodes video in which I choose which ones are really the best, because it's been a good season. There's been a lot of great moments and great characters to explore, and this was definitely an Ed and Kelly sort of episode. We really did finally explore their relationship a little more. We get to see the aftermath of the revelations from Cupid's dagger, and Ed and Kelly go on a date. This is, of course, prefaced with Ed wandering around the ship, knocking on crewmen's doors, trying to find someone to hang out with. Eventually, after being turned down by Malloy and Lamar, Bortus and Clyden invite him in for a drink of opsado, which is like a mud-like substance that apparently turns into a parasite in the bowel, which is very pleasurable. They then play a game of Latchcomb, which involves throwing what looks like some kind of armored egg to each other until you win by getting impaled in the hand. Ed then asks Kelly out to a drink in the mess hall, and then he asks if they can go on a date, and we really get to sort of see them together and take a real look at them as a couple, which I think was something that we had a couple of moments of really early in the season, but we haven't seen too much since. The more sci-fi plot of this episode, I think, took some inspiration from a couple of Star Trek episodes, and that, of course, would be Blink of an Eye from Voyager and Who Watches the Watchers from TNG. And there's also a moment in here where we see a statue of Kelly later on, and it really reminds me of a similar moment in the episode Janestown of Firefly, another one of my favorite sci-fi shows. We see them basically discover a planet that suddenly phases into the Orville's universe from another universe, and they have a Bronze Age society on the planet. Kelly and several other crewmen go to investigate. Kelly is seen by a couple of children. She heals a cut on the forehead of a little girl, and while no one besides the little girl witnesses the healing, while she's leaving, she's seen by a number of villagers. The planet then phases back into its own universe, and when it comes back 11 days later, 700 years have passed on the planet. We see it's roughly a 14th century level society, and another away team goes down to explore the planet, and Kelly realizes that she has become a full-blown religion, down to hanging dissidents from crosses and cutting people in the street, that they may bleed to show if they are innocent or guilty. The light of Kelly will heal them. So Kelly is, of course, pretty upset, and when they go back and explain the situation to the Admiral, Ed is in big trouble because when he told the Admiral about the planet before, he omitted Kelly's contact with the village, and now it's to a point where explaining the situation is unavoidable. There's also this great moment where he mimics the Admiral, thinking he's hung up the comm and he hasn't, and he's like, oh god, please, mercy. It was just a really cute little moment, and it's really not my favorite part here because they don't handle it super well after this. He allows Kelly to go back down and try to explain things from them instead of just realizing that religious people gonna religious, and this was pretty inevitably gonna happen anyway, as you can see by the fact that on Earth there have been cultures that didn't have any connection or interaction with each other for centuries and still developed similar theological systems because it's natural for humans to want to explain the phenomena they experience in the only ways they rationally can understand. If you don't have an understanding of science, a deity makes perfect sense. So they ignore that, and Kelly goes down to the planet to try and reason with them. It does not work very well because she successfully convinces their Pope-like figure to stop worshipping her. But then one of his higher-ups, who is like his right-hand guy, is of course perturbed by the idea of giving up all of their churchly powers, so he just stabs the guy. The only witness gets stabbed. And then it's the computer age, and Kelly is still a religion, and there's some funny televangelists, and again, very similar formal wear to Earth. Like, I get that you're trying to do a parallel of Earth, but it's just so blatant that it seems like you just kind of ran out of money and didn't feel like doing Aliens. It's weird to do so many episodes with the same stylistic choice of, oh look, they're just humans. But not, I guess. And, of course, they have the same thread from Blink of an Eye where they have these planets that have time traveling a lot faster, and they leave an artificial life form down on the planet. In Voyager's case, it just took them too long to get the Doctor back up, so he ended up spending years down there. In the case of Isaac, he stayed down to try and convince people not to worship Kelly anymore, because if Kelly stayed, she would die of old age before the planet phased back into their existence. So when the planet phases back again, they drop Isaac off from one of their spacefaring vessels, and they explain the obvious truth that this would have happened anyway, that Kelly doesn't need to feel any guilt, because realistically they were going to have some part in their past where they were religious, and that's just how a lot of societies evolve, and it's okay. And she put way too much pressure and value on her own position in that situation. And then at the end of the episode, Kelly basically decides that it's not a good idea for her and Ed to be together because Ed is willing to do anything for her. He's willing to lie for her, and he puts his command in jeopardy to protect her, which is something that she doesn't want. And she doesn't want to give up her position on the Orville or their friendship either, and decides that it's just best for them not to be together romantically right now. So they do leave the door open for, you know, future seasons, or maybe towards the end of the show when they decide that they're done telling this story, they can finally have them be together. But it's a nice way to sort of round out that plot from the beginning of the season, and I think it's actually a good way to end the season overall on a note with some understanding and with a really comfortable position between these two that I think is going to be a good jumping off point for their relationship in later episodes as friends and colleagues, not focusing as much on the romantic tension. I'm sure it'll still be there in some moments, but I think it no longer needs to be the focus, and that's a good thing. Overall, this was a very strong episode. There were some little things that I didn't like about it, but I really did enjoy it. There were a few scenes that did have me just laughing, and I think that I can't wait to see more of the Orville, because it's just going to get stronger and stronger as more people understand how great this show can be. I am so excited for season 2, but in the meantime I will be doing more episodes and analysis on the Orville that we already have. I'll be doing a reflection on season 1 in a little bit here with my top 5 episodes. I'm also going to have to do some downer political videos. We're going to have to talk about Melanie Martinez. We're going to have to talk about the tax plan that is looking more and more like it's going to have some sway. And that is everything I have for you for now. If you like my videos, subscribe and let me know what you thought of this episode of The Orville in the comment section down below. If you don't like my videos, I am sure you will tell me. See you next time. Wiedersehen.